So I've come to the end of drawing this portrait now, and this hair took me about 2 weeks to finish. Thank God it's nearly over. But I thought I could make one more tutorial out of it, and that's showing you how I drew this hair. And I've left this little space down here so I can show you how I do it. It's fairly simple to do, and let's get stuck in. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is to pick the colours that are right for the type of hair that you're drawing. For example, she's a redhead, so if I look at the reference photo and look for the lightest colour that isn't white, because there is white in the hair from harsh lighting or reflections, I came up with like a yellow ochre type. Just find the best match you can, and you can see this yellow ochre kind of like on the highlighted strands. And you're going up with the layers like anything else, the same as doing skin, it's all about layers. So I went for a, what's that one? Oh, burnt Selena. I thought it said burns then. Burnt Selena. And then I had a Mars orange, Mars black, that's the last one though. I've got a chestnut, which is a nice reddy burgundy colour, and that's a similar colour, sorry about that, similar colour to the chestnut but a bit darker. And we're just going to build up on the layers. So obviously, because it's coloured pencil, you have to go light to dark, and all you're going to do is just shade. I'm not shading it lightly because the darker colours that I'm going to put around it will make that really pop off the page like it's done here. It's exactly the same method as I've done here, but all the darker colours around it make it more noticeable. We're just getting shade in a small area. I don't want this to be too long. You can leave some parts white if you want, doesn't really matter. The reason why I'm shading so light is because I don't want to max out the tooth, and secondly the camera's going to shake if I actually shade too harsh. And then I'm going to use the burnt Selena, and all I'm going to do is, like you would imagine that you would draw hair if you didn't know how to draw hair, I'm just going to draw strands. So you can see this one coming down here. You just keep drawing strands of hair. You can draw some thicker ones if you want them to, you know, be random and have thicker strands of hair and stuff like that. As you can see, it already kind of looks like hair. It's not too hard at all. And I'm going to use the Mars orange, which is a more intense orange compared to the burnt Selena I just used. I'm just drawing strands again. It makes more sense when you start adding in the Mars black, because you can see it all in here. Black and Mars black makes everything explode off the page. Dead simple. Get a bit thicker in certain parts. Pull out some flyaways. Not too bothered about the edge, that takes time. I gouached the background, which is a stupid idea of mine, but it was just an experiment. Doesn't really go well with colour pencil, so don't gouache any backgrounds. And then I'm going to use this chestnut. I'm just going to sharpen it because it's a bit blunt. And again, I'm just going over certain parts. Again, you just keep doing it. You don't have to really follow the strands you've already done, because I want to keep that orange in, but as you go over the top, it kind of intensifies the colours underneath as well. So you can kind of stick to it, but you can just like go off on your own. I think just have a bit of fun, you know. Put some thicker lines in. Sorry about the wobble. It's wobbling because I haven't bolted it to me rig that's above the desk. I want to get a different angle for this because it's at the bottom. I bolted it to the desk and the desk shakes. Not enough for me to notice while I'm drawing, but this camera mount just goes like that whenever I touch the desk. And then I can use this autumn brown. Like I said, I'm just getting up the layers, I'm just getting darker and darker as I go. As you can see, this will be even darker. So it's dead simple, you're just drawing strands, making some thicker, some not so thick. It's actually quite fun doing hair because it's forgiving. So like if you as long as you stick to your reference generally, it's gonna turn out okay, if you get what I mean. It doesn't need to be perfect. People aren't getting noticed. They notice this. You can't see on the camera, but they'll notice the face. If the face isn't right, if you're drawing a celebrity, a piece of fan art, they'll know it's not right. But you can just, as long as the hair like stays to the shape of what their hair is, you can get away with just having a bit of fun. It already looks like hair, I just haven't got the intense contrast that I've got up here yet. So right, let's use some Mars Black, and this will start bringing out them really light strands that I added earlier, like the yellow ochre, and also it'll blend it into that top layer I just did. So shake your camera again, hang on. So you can do some parts where it's completely block black, because there will be parts on the head. You have to be random where it's just all block black, where you can't see anything, and then you can do a few little strands that pop out, that kind of stuff. You can see, because I'm adding that black, all the lighter colours around it are just exploding a bit more. I'm not eliminating the orange that I've just added down, I'm not eliminating the yellow ochre, I'm just going around it. Example there, I'll probably knock that out a bit. just blend it into that gouache they used. Like I said, it was a stupid idea. It's turned out alright on the edge, but I can't do anything with it. Just thought I'd do it, see what it was like, save myself time instead of shading the whole thing in black. It's taken me long enough, this portrait. You see, it's starting to look like hair, looking quite nice. It's quite funny, so I think it's like one of the easiest things you can do on a portrait. It doesn't really make you think too hard or wonder why it isn't working, all that stuff, because it's fairly simple and generic, and the problem is it takes a long time. Like I said, 2 weeks just to do this, to make it look real. What I'm going to use now is I'm going to use black, but I haven't got. I'll use this. I've got a load of blunt ones that I'm just going to sharpen it. So right, this is black. As you can see, it's coming to the end of its life. It's in a pencil, it's down there, but it is black. Using Derwent Lightfast. And I'm just going to go over some of the parts that I did for the Mars Black that I added. It should bring it out even more. I'm only staying light. These Derwent Lightfast, they're quite, I'd say they're quite creamy, they go down quite well. It's very easy to max out your tooth with them if you're not careful, so just, I'd say the trick is just to stay light as you can. Well, my work's probably got better. And if you go back through my videos, if you go to like Judge Dredd, or I think I did a bird or something like that, there was loads of wax bloom, and that's just me not really understanding the materials that well. Because I started off with watercolour and pastel, then I moved over to this, and it's totally different. It's kind of like you have the skills in your head for how values work, but then you get given a new material and you're like, oh my god, it doesn't work. Why is it all shiny everywhere? Why can't I take a photograph? And you start taking photographs from stupid angles just so you don't get the wax bloom on. Where I've got a video on my channel where if you do get a wax bloom, it can be fixed by using a Liquitex varnish. You can just varnish it after it dries completely flat, and then you can take a photograph. But if you do that and watch it, something I didn't mention on the video is that make sure your nozzle hasn't got any obstructions on it, because if it spits and it leaves like bubbles of varnish on there, they're a pain in the arse, get off. As you can see, this is how I do hair. And then what I'm going to do is, you can bring in this autumn red, which is a bit of red I've been adding here and there. Just add a bit of warmth to your hair, but it's for the basis of the redhead. If you're doing a brunette, obviously you pick a load of burgundies and browns and blacks. Blondes, you just be a load of yellows and oranges, I would say. But it depends on the blonde, Depends on the brunette. Even black hair, that's brown, but you're adding a lot more black. But it's still a lot of it is going to be brown hair. You can't just do a massive black hair. because you wouldn't see any of the highlights. It won't make no sense. It just look like a blob on his head. Right, so the last trick, I'm just going to put some else in. Shade off this side a bit. Okay, so for my last trick, which you've seen me do 100 times before in my videos, is I'm going to use this knife to, can you see these little lines here, these little flyaways? And all I'm going to do is going to drag it over the top of the coloured pencil, and it'll take it off and leave you with a harsh highlight, which is like it'll give you like a flyaway hair effect. But be very careful, don't push hard, just hold it at the base like that and just drag it along, because it'll take it off very easily. If you push too hard, you'll go through the paper and you'll hate your life. So as you can see, I'm just pushing it on, I'm just going to drag it down and you get a clean line. That's all you need. You know, it's just taking a layer off. Obviously this is a ceramic one, so it's always sharp, but you can do it with an X-Acto knife or something like a steel blade. It'll still work. You don't need much, it's just you're creating the illusion of flyaway hairs. I mean, I could go into way more detail on this hair and do really tiny flyaway hairs, but it's not needed from far away. You know, it looks realistic. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's simple. Bring some down here. Some following, just keep going. Careful when you overlap, because if you overlap, that means you've gone slightly deeper on the one you just done, and it can take the paper off. So that's why I say stay light, do some practice swings on a scrap piece of paper before you even try it. That'll be your best option. And once you've done that, if you want, but your pencil needs to be sharp, you can take your yellow ochre or even white, it's up to you. Depends on which part of the hair is, where the reflection is, all that stuff. You need to look at your estimate photo. But it needs to be sharp. Inside the groove of where you've just scraped it, just come down with the yellow ochre. That was a bit sharp, you see it broken, it'll actually, you know, sit in the groove you just made. But don't do it for every one of them, because it's nice to have a few that are just, you know, really thin flyaways. But for some of them, you know, you just draw up them like that. And because there's nothing there, basically you get a nice harsh highlight. It's not taking on anything that's underneath it, and they blend into the rest of the hair quite well. So as you can see, if I do it along there, it's not the same. It's nowhere near as clear. But you can, I'll still do that though, because it's like an extra layer of detail, so you can still do that. But this is basically how I do hair. So it's a very easy, quick tutorial. Hope it helps. You know, try it, see what happens. Let me know what happens. There's some reels on my Instagram of this if you want to watch them. I'll be posting a finished photograph soon on Instagram, but it depends on when you film this video, whether it's done or not. Give me a couple of days. Please like, share, comment, and thank you very much for watching.